Alright, welcome back to another episode on my YouTube channel. Firstly, I would actually like to apologize that I haven't been posting a lot. I know it's been like about 3 or 4 months, I'm not quite sure anymore. But I have been busy with school and just work overall. So, just again, quick apology. And so we are just gonna be straight up starting now. First, I would like to say that in my Discord server, link down below, we have made a quick poll on what I should do next. And since I don't really like the last RNG series that I posted, I would say, we've decided that we are gonna start a new RNG series. If you have any suggestions on what we could add to our RNG game right here, or just any YouTube videos I could do in general, please go to my Discord server and just post your suggestion. It would be appreciated. So now we can start. This episode we are gonna just take a look at Roblox Studio, how to set up the game, and just generally the settings. You're also gonna be creating a quick module script on what all the different auras we are gonna add. And I will look at the time, but if we have enough time, we would start the UI for the game. So let's just firstly go to our file up here. Click on Studio Settings and this little window will pop up. Right now we are actually sorry, my bad, we are not gonna go into the studio settings, that's different. I meant the beta features, right, we're gonna be editing the beta features. Right here, what I like to do is we're gonna enable this little checkbox up here, which enables all of those beta features. And we're gonna go right about to the middle, maybe a bit further down, and as you can see, the next gen studio preview. I would like to disable that because I just don't like the looks of it. You don't have to, but for this episode we're gonna be disabling this one. Now if you hit save, it may prompt you with restarting your studio. And you might want to do that to enable all the beta features. So now we can actually get started. Go into your game settings, and if you haven't already, you can save the game, and then you will get my site that I have right here. So in basic info, you can edit your game's name if you don't know that. You can set the description, the game icon, and everything needed for the game. Right now we are gonna be heading to security. Here we need to allow HTTP requests, as well as enable studio access to API services. If we were to add game passes later on, we are gonna do third-party sales, but the other two we do not need. Right, then you can hit save, and that's all the settings we're gonna do for this episode. So let's get started. Going to replicated storage and create a new folder. Rename this folder to modules. This is what I like to do normally to kinda, keep a structure and just keep everything organized. Then we're gonna add a module script inside our folder. And I just deleted it by accident, my bad. I wanted to rename it. So this name could be auras or aura module or anything you'd like. In here we can press Ctrl A and just delete everything we need, because we are gonna be doing this differently, right? So hit return and then those curly brackets. Those curly brackets indicate tables, and so we are gonna start with our entire aura list. First we can go ahead and get those brackets in and do those quotation marks. In here you can do your aura name. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say yes, this is gonna be my common. This common is gonna be equal to another table, and inside this table, actually To keep it simpler or to make it easier later on, we are gonna do a different approach and start with a table directly. Instead of doing a dictionary, we're just gonna do a regular array. So in here, this is gonna be our aura name, so this is gonna be common. After this, we could set the rarity. I'm gonna do like 2, I guess. Next up, we are gonna do the color of the aura, or just the basic color, I guess. So go ahead and do color free dot from RGB, so you can choose your own RGB color. You can also do dot hex or whatever you'd like, but we're gonna keep it from RGB. So go ahead and click that little icon I just pressed. I can show you again. Go ahead in the brackets and click this little rainbow icon. It will open up the color wheel and you can choose any color you'd like. For a common, I usually go for white, maybe a bit darker, but I will start with a full white. As you can see, it automatically fills in the RGB values, and we can start with the second aura. So add a comma behind this bracket right here. You can go ahead and copy all of this, either with right click and then just copy, or hit Ctrl C if that's faster for you. Go on down and paste it in, or hit Ctrl V. And in here you can just rename all the stuff you'd like. So we're gonna do basic with 5 rarity and a bit lower white. Go ahead and paste in the third, and you can do that for all your auras. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do uncommon now, probably like 1 in 12, I guess. And this color is gonna be a green, but a bit brighter, right? So we can just keep on doing this for whatever many auras you'd like. Alright, now that I'm done with my aura list, I know it isn't a lot, but we're gonna keep it simple for now because we actually have to do all the auras ourselves. So now that we have our few auras, you can go ahead and click out of here. That is gonna be our aura list, and we can use that later on in future episodes. And if I look at the time, we still have plenty time to do the UI. So go ahead and go into Starter GUI and add a Screen GUI. The Screen GUI is gonna be our bottom bar. The bottom bar is gonna have a quick frame. This frame is gonna be the holders, which is gonna hold our buttons, pretty much self-explanatory. For our anchor point, we are gonna set it to 0.5 and comma 1, right? Now the frame is gonna go up there, but that's no problem, because if you go to the position, we are gonna set it to 0.5 as well as 1, right? Yeah, comma 1, and I deleted it again, right? Now that we have it at the bottom right here, we can go ahead and scale it. Make sure for the scale it is actually, if you open this up, you can see it's 0,100. The second position at the size is usually the absolute value, but we are gonna do relative values, or the scale as Roblox says it. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna do 0.5 of the entire screen, as well as 0.1 of the entire screen's height. So if you look at that, it's gonna be a bar at the bottom, and I could be rescaling my window if I can grab this correctly. And you can see it will always be the same exact height, or just size in general. If I were to do it like 0,500, then again a 0 and like 1000, I guess, it's gonna be this height, right? But if I were to rescale my screen, you can see, actually that's a bad example, because I have this enabled, which just makes sure that my screen is always the same height. But if I were to change it to the iPhone, you can see it covers up the entire screen, which doesn't happen if I do a relative value. Like, sorry, I meant, what did we have before actually? 0.5, 0.1, right? You can see it is on here, even on the phone. And if we were to switch back to our screen, you can see it is still down here. So now we are gonna quickly make this holder transparent, and we're gonna add a few more frames. So our first frame, actually we're gonna do a text button. This text button is gonna be position 0.5. It's automatically gonna replace the other one with 0.5 as well. And for the anchor point you can also just do 0.5. There you go, now it's directly in the center of the holder. Now for our text button, we can rename this to our roll button. I'm sorry if I'm going a bit fast, but I'm just making sure that we are on time. And for the roll button, we can do, I guess, like 0.5 of the holder and like 0.95, right? That is a bit much, so I am gonna go down to 3.5 on the first. Actually, that's still a bit much on the height, I would say. So 0.8 maybe, or even 0.75. Yeah, I like this a lot more. So make sure you have 0.35 and 0.75. Nice. Now we can say 0.25 background transparency and the background color to completely black. If we were to scroll down all the way, we can actually just disable the text by setting the text transparency to 1. And then if we want to style our button so it looks a bit better, you can add a frame in here, inside the button, make sure it is inside the button. And then you can name this like inner, I guess. For the position it's gonna be 0.5 again, as well as the anchor point. For the size it's gonna be 0.95. If that's too much on the height, you can just adjust it until you find your correct value. And that seems about what I want. So 0.95, 0.85, and go ahead and completely make this background transparency 1. Next up we are gonna do a UI stroke on the inner frame with 1 thickness and the color white. Now on the screen it may look a bit weird, but we can fix this by setting the thickness to 1.5. Maybe on the recording it will still look bad, but for me it does look good. So now that we have our button, we can go inside the inner frame and add a text label. This text label we can rename to our title. And you've guessed it already, 0.5 position and 0.5 anchor point. The size doesn't matter, but I guess we can do 0.75 on both. That is still a bit small, so we're gonna increase it to 0.85. Seems about right. So now we can set the background transparency to 1. Go ahead and scroll down, and now we are gonna adjust our text. Usually I like setting the font face to something like a monocode or a Sonor monospace. Right, we're gonna use that for our episode. Then we can do text scaled and the text color set to white. Now we can rename this to roll, and you will see we have our button. If the text looks a bit too big for you, you can adjust the size of our title. For the width I would do 0.95, and maybe for the height 0.8 instead. Right, it looks a bit smaller and just better overall. So that's our roll button. Now we can duplicate this roll button, and as you can see they stack over each other. That is not good. So if we were to add a UI list layout, you can see that got stacked to the wrong way. So if we go inside our UI list layout, we are gonna do fill direction horizontal instead. Then we're gonna do horizontal alignment to the center and vertical alignment to the center as well. The horizontal flex I would say space evenly, because if you look, it spaces evenly between the entire width of our holder. So that is fine. Grab one of those roll buttons, rename them to auto roll. And if you duplicate this again, You can rename one of them to quick roll. Actually, let's delete our quick roll and just do our auto roll first, so it's easier to make the quick roll. Go to the size and enable size constraint to relative YY. Now you can just do 0.75 on both and you will see it is a perfect square. Yes, our inner frame will look weird now, but that's an easy fix. Just go to our size right here and do 0.85. There we go, looks a lot better. Now the title will look bad because it is a square, but we can delete this and add a image label instead. This image label we can actually just rename to pic or picture, anchor point 0.5, so it's in the dead center again. Same for the position. Go ahead and put the size to 0.75. That's a bit small, so we could increasing it again to 8.5. Perfect. Background transparency set to 1. Now for the image, I do have some icons loaded up already, but you have to find your own. You can use the toolbox, and if you don't find any good icons there, you can just go to the internet and try to find good icons. Right, I am gonna use this icon for the auto roll, although this seems a bit big, so I'm gonna scale that down. I don't like that, still a bit too big. Seems more appropriate, right? Now that we have our picture right here, we are gonna put the scale type to fit instead. Right, now we have our button. This button we can duplicate and rename to quick roll. Quick roll is gonna be essentially the same, but we are gonna change the picture. Right, that's everything. Now for the how's it called again? For the layout order, right? We want our roll button to be in the middle instead of weirdly to the side. So the roll button should be layout order 0. Quick roll could be on the right, I would say that's how most games do it. So layout order 1. And if you go into auto roll, the layout order should be -1 to put it on the other side. So as you can see, we now have 3 buttons. It may look a bit weird with the spacing, so we could go to the horizontal flex and say none instead. And now it's gonna be squished together. It does look better, but we are gonna go to the padding and add just a tiny spacing in between each one. So we could do 0.01 padding up here. You can see it adds a little gap between. We could even increase this and you would have your spacing. Right, that's about everything. If I go ahead and play, you can see the buttons are down here. They are a bit small, I do have to say that. But that's an easy fix. Just go into your holder if you think the buttons are a bit small and just like increase the height, I guess. Maybe 1.12 fits you better. Those are way bigger now and I think I'm gonna keep that. If you go in game, you can see they are bigger and I do like that a lot more. Right, that's about everything that we are gonna do this episode. We have made our order list as well as the buttons down here. So I guess if I do remember that tomorrow, we could have a second episode tomorrow or maybe next week. So I'm gonna have to check on when I have time, I guess. But that is gonna be everything for this episode. So I hope you like it and see you in the next episode.